Greetings, fellow old-timers. Since I last made a video about the old world, there's been a lot more information. Perhaps too much information in too short time. I suppose that is all part of the hype train, and I almost got caught up. But I realized that there is one piece that, at least for me, is very important, that is still missing. So as a counter to the whole hype train thing, I want to make a relaxed video where I tell you what I still find missing. Let's go. It was almost the armies available. For some reason they did not include my two absolute favorites, the Undead and the Skaven, which does strike me a bit, you know, weird. You know, you won't hear me whine about this. Why didn't put it in a box? Because I mean, it's just my own personal unluck, I suppose. But it does strike me as weird, you know. I mean, especially the Skaven is pretty much a box ready to go. But I do believe that Warhammer The Old World needs to exist. I really support that, so I still want to buy one of these boxes. And given the choice between Bretonnia and the Tomb Kings, it's a really easy choice. I mean, it will be the Bretonnian guys. So I just made up some silly reasons to buy them. It's pretty much, you know, to support that this game exists at all. That's my major reason. So if it's not the release itself, is it the rules? Are they lacking? No, I don't think so. To be quite honest, I haven't really read the rules, the old world development diary things. I haven't really read the rules articles. That, I mean, I read them, but I mean, it's not that thorough or compared it to the 6th edition, which is the latest version that I have ever played. But you know, it's not a major concern of mine. You have to remember that we're all different, and my major reason for playing would be a trip down memory lane, you know, beer in hand and you know, chatting with a friend. And to break that, the rules have to be outright bad, like proper bad. I mean, in worst case scenario, I will just use the 6th edition rules with my new models. You know, it's not a really made problem. You know, your situation might be different, but as far as I can tell, they've taken the old trusted, you know, sort of core of things and tried to modernize it. Or at least a few parts, you know. I believe I will like things like the counter charge, which seems nice. I hope that works out well, and that they will have more of that kind of stuff that makes the game a bit, you know, more interesting for the guy on beer break. There's something to do all the time. Or the initiative boost when charging, that is awesome. I think, I mean, it's just strange that it didn't really exist, you know. But the most criticism I've seen is about the magic, and I can understand that they want to simplify it a bit. I mean, I never played the 8th edition, 7th edition, and I can't even remember how it was in the 6th edition actually. But I do think it sounds really awesome to merge it into, like, magic into the regular gameplay. I think that is the way to go. But I can't really realize, I can't really understand why they have to abandon the dice pool. I think that is a really neat system, you know. And I mean, we have included it in Imbori, where we, you know, but instead of simplifying instead of getting rid of that one and simplifying that far, we just, you know, simplify it down to each mage having their own dice pool. And instead of having, I think if you want to, you know, if you want to simplify something, remove the dispel thing. We tried that, you know, got rid of the dispel thing and instead make it harder to cast. If you cast, but like a shooting attack or whatever, and it really works fine without any separate magic phase and with the dice pool, which is a really nice, you know, tactical kick to the game. So we really enjoyed that. And if you don't want to think, you know, don't bring a mage. That's as simple as that. And speaking of bringing, the armor composition does not seem to be, you know, a revolution either. Personally, I would like to see a bit more core and a bit less character, but you know, because I mean, it is not fun to paint, you know, all your 60 troopers just to watch a boss fight. If anything, that would drain the inspiration for people to finish their armies. If, you know, looking at the points from comparing them to the 6th edition, looking at the Bretonnian army, which does seem, you know, like seem like a proper army with a lot of foot soldiers and a general and horses and whatnot, it is pretty close to 25% actually. It's just like a bit above 25% core, and that would be kind of sad, you know, if, you know, like you bring all your troopers to fight a single giant skeleton crocodile, and it doesn't really matter unless you bring your own general, because you spent twice as many points pretty much on him than all of these combined. And that is if you did spend 50% of your points on your general. Which I suppose, I mean, we have to see with the rules, what is the most reasonable thing to do. It could just be that, you know, there has to be room for some, you know, an interesting general and some damsels and whatnot if you play a smaller army. I totally get that, but it is the risk of, you know, having a boss fight with some bystanders. Anyway, this is not my problem either. I will mostly play one opponent and we can just cap it at whatever we want. And unless someone points out a really good reason, I would probably sell this the Bretonnian flying guy, General Duke, on eBay and just buy a fancy horse and put him on. Perhaps one of the standard bearer guys. It looked kind of nice and, you know, recognizable from afar. And that could also perhaps bring me the points to include the Battle Pilgrims. If you do play Bretonnia, you have to pick these guys up. I have no real idea if they're any good at all, but I mean, just look at them. You have to include them. They have to be. That is obvious. And if, for a person who has hibernated since 6th edition, the whole thing of getting these sort of models is one of the absolute major reasons. I suppose they're aiming for that as well, and I think they're really doing a great job here because, well, they attracted me to an army that I would never consider like the first choice anyway. Unfortunately, they didn't include the squires on foot, but I mean, hey, it's, you know, random dudes with bows. It shouldn't be too hard to find somewhere else. Ironically enough, it was looking at these reprints that also made me ponder. If you look at the forces available in the last iteration of Warhammer Fantasy, there are a few, you know, like armies that were nowhere close to having, you know, current models, like Bretonnia and Tomb Kings and the Chaos Dwarfs, I suppose. And of these, I suppose that Bretonnia and Tomb Kings were the most popular, the ones that sold best, so they were the obvious choices for the re-release. And it's awesome, you know, like to take something that you already have and bring it back and call it a new thing. That is awesome because it's, you know, something that's not currently available. And it also seems reasonable to use the other factions as a sort of support in this early stage, because as you know, as far as I can tell, almost all of them are available as miniatures in the Age of Sigmar line. I'm nowhere near an expert on 8th edition or Age of Sigmar, so you know, please tell me if I'm wrong there. But I mean, they sell the square bases separately, and I assume that this is the way you're supposed to go if you want to convert your army to, you know, the old world. But here again, it does boggle my mind a bit why they did not include the Skaven, because I mean, they are quite literally an army that is still, you know, like intact, ready to go. Square bases, and I mean, I bought some recently, and oh, sure, they were like 20mm bases, but I mean, they were quite literally still coming with 20mm bases, square bases. So I can't get it, but hey, it's just unlucky. Skaven, sorry. Perhaps they want to, you know, perhaps they want to save them for later. I believe they are quite popular, so perhaps they want to perhaps they're very serious about the narrative actually, and they want to do the narrative stuff, and then when they feel that the sales are going down, they can like, yeah, now we're bringing the Skaven and Undead as a sort of, I have no clue about the lore. There might be something in the lore there that they will come marching. Watch out for that one. Watch out for that one. There are, however, two, you know, factions that stand out a bit. It is Empire and Greenskins. I can't seem to find regular orcs or goblins in the Age of Sigmar line, and I know for a fact that they pulled the sort of regular Empire troopers from the store about, you know, half a year ago or something. And even since the very early beginnings of this game, there's been the rumors about a Empire versus Greenskins box. Now that we know that they do the starter boxes as separate armies, my assumption is that they will make, you know, these will be the next releases. Greenskins and Empire. That would be nice. But perhaps in boxes without the core rulebook. I suppose there will already be enough core rulebooks. You don't need too many of those. Really. You can probably find one cheap on eBay pretty soon. For those people that actually want a giant Bretonnian army of 2,500 points and buy 2 of the boxes because it's cheapest way to buy it, even with a core rulebook in there, and they will send the core rulebook for pretty much free. That's a prediction. But then we come to the main question here, you know. If the other factions, all of them, because I've seen that, you know, between the lines it seems to be that way, you know, like all of the factions will get the re-release. Will they all get the box? And what will be in that box? For, I mean, for Bretonnia and Tomb Kings, the way forward was pretty straightforward, you know. You take the stuff that is not yet available, or currently not available, used to be available, currently not available. You bring it out as a new thing, you combine it with some new models for excitement, and yeah, it's good content. But I mean, they even say, you know, like quite literally, they fit seamlessly along the classic design language of the Bretonnian faction, while taking full advantage of modern miniature technology. I do hope that means less mold lines. That is all I hope for, pretty much, when it comes to modern technology. Not the you can't change the pose of the guy. Like it seems to be on the guy on the Pegasus, the General Duke guy. He seems to be, you know, like single pose. You can change the head, but and the arm, but it has to be in this very one pose, unless you want to kit bash, which is the fun part anyway. So yeah, But it does give, you know, like here comes a lot of questions, you know, like how would they do with other armies, you know? Will they pull them back and then bring them back again, or will they just be there, and will they add, like, you know, like earlier or later miniatures, and what is the classic design for dwarves? Is it how they looked right when 8th edition ended, like the sci-fi dwarves, or is it like the, please can I have the 6th edition warriors and you know, iron breakers and stuff, so that my dwarf cannons doesn't look like, you know, like total out of place. You have like this really nice proper guns, and then you have sci-fi troopers right next to them. No, it doesn't really match, you know. Or is it something even earlier? Is it some, you know, like 4th edition guys, you know, like the guys standing there smoking a pipe with this crossbow straight up in the air, because it was much easier to make a cast that was, you know, like really flat. I don't know. Personally, I would just hope for like the 6th edition, but with a bit more 3D space, so you don't get like these models that are really flat. Yeah, well, I've rambled on too much about this stuff. Let's move on to the next part. Actually, that was the last part. I mean, I can't really tell what to make out of this whole entanglement thing, and I concluded that I better just buy a box of Bretonnians to get a coherent army and see what the future brings. Whatever it is, I thank you for watching, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy your hobby.